the Golden Era and the Empire of Lyoss. The early years of our people were not all bliss and prosperity. There were numerous bloody wars between competing fiefdoms of our ancestors. They disagreed, and disagreements begat violence. In time, at the urging of the gods, a single voice of unity began to gather our people into what would become the Empire of Lyoss. The empire took the name of the palace of the gods as a sign of their approval and continued involvement. Our ancestors honed the arts of war during the struggle for unification, and these skills served well against external threats thereafter. They beat back human and scorned savages lurking at the fringes of the empire's borders. Eventually, our ancestors made contact with the dwarves of Rule, the only dim light of civilization outside of Lyoss, albeit sequestered in a remote mountainous region far to the west. Lyoss saw them neither as a threat nor competition. Had events gone otherwise, the time of dominion of Lyoss would have stretched from the great waters of the east to those of the west. Eventually, our reach would have extended even past the shores of Immeryn to embrace continents beyond. The Orgoth would have stood no chance against our great empire. Our golden age was long, but sadly we know little about it. Thousands of years of history are gone like a half-remembered dream. The continent was different in that age, with fertile plains and flowing rivers, where today there are nothing but deserts and desolation. Our capital, Naishil, sat at the heart of what was now a great rift dividing the continent. Nairo's sun never shines upon the ruins of Naishil, which was shattered to dust and are now cloaked in a storm and punished by ceaseless lightning. I have journeyed across the desert sands to the east to see the ruins of Oshilaria, the closest of the known Lyossan ruins. At the height of the empire, Oslari was nothing but a small and inconsequential outpost, noted only for the productivity of its mines. Yet upon seeing the broken buildings, I was overwhelmed by the majesty and the splendor of what our ancestors had wrought. I can only imagine the wonders of ancient Naishil, a city stretching across the glorious river Helles and boasting over 2 million souls. Every man and woman currently in Lyoss could have dwelled comfortably in Naishil, with room for twice that number again. We know precious few details of ancient Lyoss. Its rulership was shared by the collective 8 great fanes of the gods. The central fanes of the capital administered the empire, while subordinate fanes supervised outlying regions. Lyoss was no utopia by any means. Certainly, it had its teeming poor, but the empire's wealth and agriculture were ample to feed all. Periodic upheaval and strife were put down by heavy-handed applications of force, and peace would once again dominate for a time. In their wisdom, the gods allowed our people considerable insight of the organization and direction of daily life, but the fundamental guiding precepts came from their higher authority. It was only natural that our gods take part in governing our empire, with their priests serving as their proxies or instruments as needed. The only lingering dissatisfaction the people felt was of an awareness of the separation of from our divine patrons. 5,000 years ago, the eldest priests met at the Council of Aniafarar and resolved to address this distance. Why could we not share our lives, as well as our afterlives, with our gods? When they drew upon plans for the Bridge of Worlds, Lycia herself blessed its inception with approving omens. The Bridge of Worlds. No Iceland can speak today of the Bridge of Worlds without anger and regret, yet the bridge represented hope incarnate for our ancestors. The timeless efforts of millions labored for Heslion to transform a potential impossible idea into reality. So great a project that has never been attempted in the history of caen, and likely never will again. Mortal and divine minds joined to create a tangible conduit from which the worlds of the gods could enter the earth where mortals toiled. The Bridge of Worlds was not merely metaphorical. It was a massive physical structure soaring into the skies above the capital. The agricultural and mystical techniques developed during its creation became cornerstones of the engineering we still utilize today, and were still employed in the construction of our cities and great famed structures. The most likely portrayal of the Bridge of Worlds depicts a soaring stone arch reaching into the sky to terminate at its apex, as if it were one half of a bridge intended to cross a mountain ravine. The missing half existed as spirit in the Veld, built by the gods and designed for perfect mystical alignment with its material counterpart. A linked series of hundreds of massive arcane generators were built into the Cyclopean foundation, and a lattice of metal sigils were inlaid across the streets of the capital, extending for miles into the surrounding lands. The Bridge of Worlds was intended to be a permanent road the gods could traverse at will. A vast variety of blessings and advancements were expected to result from the close proximity of the gods and the more immediate access to their counsel and wisdom. The bridge's construction occupied 250 years and levied a cost in lives and materials we could never again afford. It should have persisted as the greatest wonder of the world. Something went terribly wrong the moment the bridge was put to use. The hour of glory upon them, our ancestors activated the Bridge of Worlds and watched as the gods stepped from the Veld. In the gatherings across Lyoss, millions of our people congregated to celebrate the arrival of the divine. This did in fact begin a new age, but one born in unimaginable catastrophe and devastation rather than golden glory. We call this event